So what you're saying is, Yui Mamiya was not a victim of sexual battery, but rather she conspired with Akihiro Ehara to fake a murder alibi. We've already closed the book on that ordeal, yet now the defense wants to write a sequel?
To establish the defendant's motive in the harassment, we need to bring the Mikoshiba murder to light. The groping itself was staged. It was all part of their script, right down to the guilty verdict.
It sounds like the defendant has some strong hostility for the court.
Ehara got the court to accept his murder alibi by twisting the legal process to his own ends. It was easy to miss, because at the time, Mikoshiba's body hadn't been found yet. But we have to admit that we all got duped.
We? You're not even a lawyer. You're a detective.
Yagami-sensei still has a license to practice.
Forget what I said if it offended you, prosecutor.
My superiors always told me that in his youth, your Genda-sensei was a difficult man. He'd insist his clients were innocent, persisting even in the face of conviction. He was hostile to the prosecution, and was known to fraternize with Kamurocho Yakuza. But it was his sheer disrespect that made my boss hate him.
Damn. You sure know an awful lot about Genda-sensei.
Because I honestly can't say I like him. He treated me like a child when I was starting out.
I'll tell you this, there's no higher praise for the defense than being called difficult by the prosecution.
Now, if we can get back on track, can we confirm the defendant himself has agreed to the appeal?
Yes.
But if Ehara really committed the murder, why would he agree to his alibi being scrutinized?
Ehara's objective isn't to get away with murder.
Then what is he after?
Making a mockery of the legal system.
Then it'd be best not to pay him any attention.
And you'd be right. If your priority is saving face in front of the court rather than preserving fairness in the law.
You've got a real attitude.
Sorry I'm a bit late.
So, with this appeal, the defense wants to assert the defendant's innocence by establishing his guilt in a murder.
Wait, before we go on, who is this?
He's from the Metropolitan Police. Considering Ehara was on the force, he has a vested interest here. He's not here to participate, don't worry.
The police can't afford to be embarrassed any further. We need to send the right message to the public.
Can we have your name, please?
The name is Bando.
And your title?
Think of me as a kind of police coordinator. But don't let me interrupt the proceedings. Forget I'm even here. Please, continue.
So much for this meeting being off the record.
Allow me to restate the prosecution's opinion to the judge. We cannot allow the murder footage to be used as new evidence in Akihiro Ehara's appeal. It's nothing but an online hoax of unknown origin. We can't just casually introduce that into court.
Indeed.
Furthermore, if Ehara bears such hostility towards the court, the footage might end up being a trap.
Trap?
Yes. What if the next viral video proves the original footage was doctored? What if the proceedings have already begun by then? Do we drop the appeal and call it a day? We cannot allow a man like Ehara to swing the court around by its nose at his whims. With that in mind, I believe Ehara's conviction should be upheld and enforced. Would the defense care to comment? Did you think any of this through before filing this appeal?
Yes. We aim to prove the defendant's innocence no matter what your objections may be.
And what about you?
We will prove Ihara's innocent of sexual battery. We have all the evidence we need.
You mean the murder video? You're no better than the public. You believe everything you read online. Is there any real proof that the video isn't fake? Or are you trying to set a precedent for court sentences to hinge on dubious videos?
True, the prosecution might have a point here, Yagami-san.
What? What?
The murder footage may not have shown Ihara-san assaulting anyone, but that alone doesn't prove him innocent.
Oh, right. Then,
What is this nonsense?
Ihara's guilty verdict was wrong. We don't think there was enough evidence at the first trial to result in that verdict.
There was fiber from the victim's underwear found on Ihara's hand.
That was a trick. It was set up with cooperation from the victim.
There is no evidence it was a trick. Are you saying Yui Mamiya and Ihara met beforehand? Is there proof of that? Was there perhaps any security footage we didn't see?
No, the station erases the footage from their cameras after a few days if there's no need to keep it.
Right. But if there's even a chance Ihara and Mamiya were a team, the underwear fiber proves nothing. What were the other deciding factors? Security footage? The smartphone videos we kept seeing on TV? Those don't prove the crime either, because there was a huge time gap in them.
What?
We've done enough legwork to know. Did you walk around the site with your own 2 feet, prosecutor?
Well, no. But I have been to Shinjuku Station plenty of times.
Then you must know they have a mountain of security cameras covering every angle. But if you went there to look carefully, you'd find there are some blind spots. That's Ihara running, while Mamiya chases after him. It seems as though the whole chase is recorded, but this area in dotted lines is a blind spot no camera saw. That's the momentary gap in time where Ihara and his double switched places.
The victim was running right behind Ihara. She would have noticed if they swapped places right in front of her eyes.
Oh, but she knew about the swap all along. They were all in on it from the start.
Can you prove that?
We don't have to prove the defendant is innocent, Takano-san.
What?
All we have to prove is that the evidence provided by the prosecution at the trial was insufficient to determine guilt. Because that's the role of the defense counsel.
Indeed it is.
If the prosecution can't debunk any and all possibility that the train groping was a put-up job, then it's innocent until proven guilty.
Then the defense should have brought it up the first time. Although I doubt Shirosaki-sensei actually believed in the defendant's innocence herself.
The guilty verdict at the trial was orchestrated by the defendant. It was our error not to have seen it at the time, but it would be another not to correct ourselves now.
Stop being so dramatic. He's just a subway perv.
That is a statement I cannot abide. The law can't give the impression that a false charge is permissible, even for a subway perv.
Right. I take that back. I misspoke.
I do believe this case is worth a trial in the appeal court. If the court was misled by a hostile defendant, then only the court can correct it.
Thank you very much.
However, I too have seen Ihara-san's murder footage. I believe it would be difficult to introduce it as evidence in this trial. Therefore, I cannot allow it to be brought into the courtroom at this time.
Sorry, son. Think you got this covered?
Huh?
I'll poke my head in at the office later.
Very well, we'll be expecting you.
Bando-san, was it? From public security?
I don't recall saying my department. But yeah, that's right.
Do you know Reiko Kusamoto? The vice minister at the Ministry of Health?
Of course.
Any particular reason she's under constant surveillance?
A rather bold question, isn't it?
It's just you and me here.
I see you know how to cut to the chase, Yagami-sensei.
Ahara's trial can't be that important to you. So I have to figure I'm the reason you showed up. You want to know where Kawana is, don't you? Were you finally forced to get off your ass because nobody else can get eyes on him?
Kuwana, otherwise known as Yu Kitakata, is wanted on suspicion of murder. If you know where he is, please do tell.
Wanted for murder? Huh. Because you know, I thought it was RK acting on your orders that killed Sawa-sensei. You think you can hide that fact forever? Even the cops in the field have their suspicions.
Do they? Well, the cubicle workers always resent the corner offices. Officers in the field complain about their superiors. I did the same thing back in my day.
Then why did you use thugs as your pawns instead of officers? Is that how Sawa-sensei got roped into this?
I'm afraid I'm not following.
You knew it was going to be a dirty job from the beginning. That's why you couldn't use anybody on the force. Or maybe you just weren't able to find an underling you could fully trust.
That's a good one.
Public security's only tricks are surveillance and call tracing. You leave the dirty work to the thugs.
That may be true, but it's enough to crush the likes of you.
I'm gonna ask just in case. Where is Soma now?
Hand over Kawana to me and there will be no more victims.
What?
Do you have a reason to protect him? I already know he's going around executing bullies. He's a disturbance to public order.
But he wasn't the one who killed Sawa-sensei.
I didn't come here to argue. I came to issue an ultimatum.